What's happening, guys? Welcome to Spotted Hyena. My name's Steve, and today we're going to be taking a look at Docker and creating containers. Okay, let's get started. Creating containers is quite important with Docker. Obviously, without them, it's kind of useless and it's really not worth having Docker. So what we'll do is we'll have a walkthrough of creating a simple WordPress site, get that up and running, and just use Docker commands to do it initially. First thing that you need to do is log on to your Docker VM, which I've already done here. And once you've logged in, we need to create a network that our WordPress server and our database server are going to connect to. So in order to do this, we'll just do Docker network create wp-backend and press enter. So that's now created a Docker network for us to use. And now we're going to create a Docker volume. So a Docker volume is used to store our persistent data. Docker didn't used to use volumes in old versions. It used to just use file mappings. Now, the problem with using mappings is that there's less flexibility. It's harder to have multiple containers going into the same share, and you can get various complications with doing so. So Docker volumes combats that issue by allowing the containers to share the data much easier, and be able to read and write at the same time. So we'll just create our volumes now. So Docker volume create wp underscore data, and then do the same command again with db underscore data. Press enter, and now if we do Docker volume list, you can see now we've got our database volume and our WordPress volume. So now what we want to do is we need to choose a Docker image that we would like to use with this. So now if we head over to store.docker.com, we can do a search for the image that we need. So first off, we need a database. So if we do MariaDB, search for that, and you'll see we get two results. The one we want is the one by Docker here. So if we click on that, you can see it gives us a description of everything and how to use our database. So what we'll do is we'll switch back over to our VM, and then we'll start our commands ready to get our database up and running. So if we do Docker run space --name, and you can call this whatever you want. So I'm going to call this my WordPress -MariaDB -- network equals, and for our network we'll do wp-backend -e. So -e means environment. These are environment variables that can be set up depending on the different images that you're using. Usually if you go to the store, it'll tell you on the store what different environment variables are available for that VM. So for this one we want MySQL _root _password, and this is all in capitals, equals, and then your password. I'm just going to put my secret password in here because this is only a test. Then do -e again for the next environment variable, and here we do MySQL _database equals WordPress. So you can call your database whatever you like. Again, -e MySQL _user equals wp-user. So that's the user of your MySQL database, and then -e MySQL _password, and then equals, I'm just going to use password 1, So we've got all of our variables set up, and now we need to set up our volume. So because we set up volumes earlier on, all we need to do is do -v space db underscore data :var/lib/mysql. So what that's going to do is it's going to map anything that is in var lib mysql to db data volume. So what it will do is any files that are in that folder will be mapped to the db data folder instead. Therefore, when you rebuild your Docker image over and over again, that particular data, so your MySQL data, will all stay and it won't get lost with the rebuilds. And then we do -d. -d will basically run the Docker image in the background, and then we need to give it a name. So we need to list the image that it's going to use, which is MariaDB. And then we'll press enter. So it was unable to find the image locally, but what it'll do is it'll automatically go up to Docker store and download the latest version of that image. So we'll wait for that to download and we'll be back in just a minute. Alright, now we've got our image downloaded and it should have created a container for us. So if we do docker ps, and we can see now that we have got a MariaDB instance, and the name of it is mywp-mariadb. So if we had some issues with this, and for example here it kept on saying that it was restarting, then what you can do is you can type docker logs and then the name of your image, so of your container. So it'd be mywp-mariadb, press enter, and here you can see all of the logs. So you can see if you've got any errors in there, they'll all show up there. If it's rebooting, then it will tell you in here that it's rebooting and the reasons why it's rebooting. If you need to run commands directly on your container, which sometimes you might need to do to troubleshoot an issue, if, for example, the container's not rebooting, but the website or something is not working as you expect, you can just type docker exec -it, and then it would be mywp-mariadb, and then type bash and press enter. So now you can see we've got our MySQL instance there, and you can see I'm getting access denied, so we know that MySQL is installed on there using MariaDB. So if we exit from that, and now that we've got that up and running, we need to create our WordPress server. So first off, we'll do docker run --name WordPress --network wp-backend -e, and then here we want the WordPress database host. So that is our MariaDB instance. So we'll type WordPress_db_host equals mywp-mariadb -e WordPress_db_user. That's the user we created earlier, so that's wp-user, and then -e again, and WordPress_db_password equals password1. Now we need to give it a port. So obviously, because this is a web server, we need to give it a port. So 8080:80, and then what that will do is the container will be listening on port 80 because it's a default configuration web server, and then we're translating it to go on port 8080 from our Docker server. So now we need to do -v to map our volume, and then we want wp_data, and then colon /var/www/html, and that will take us to the default directory where WordPress is installed. -d so that it runs in the background, and then the name of the image is WordPress, and we'll press enter. And again, we don't have that image, so it'll download the image and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Alright, so that container is now up and running. So if we do docker ps, you can see that both of those are up and running. And if we go back to our logs file and do WordPress, we should see that that's up and running here. So that's fine. It can't resolve the name, but that doesn't matter for this. So now what we'll do is we'll type in the IP address of our Docker server, 192.168.88.48, and then colon 8080, and press enter. And as you can see, we are then presented with the WordPress screen in order to get this up and running. So if we click continue, we'll just put test in here. And now we should be able to just go to our WordPress site. There we go. So now we've got our WordPress site up and running. What we can do is we could do docker kill WordPress. And now, if we restart this page, you'll see it times out. So now our WordPress container stopped and it's not working. So if we go back over to our command line and type docker start WordPress, press enter, our WordPress should start up again. And then if we jump back across to our browser and load the page, you can see the site is still working and all of the database is still intact. So if we jump back over to our command line and we type docker kill my WordPress -Maria DB, press enter. Oh, so just change that to docker, press enter, and then docker ps. You can see that our database is now no longer running. If we jump back over and refresh the page, and we can see the website has stopped working. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete the image. So if we do docker remove my WordPress -MariaDB, so we're removing that container from our server. And then what we'll do is we'll go back to our command for creating the database, and we'll recreate our database. So now we've recreated our database. If we swap back over to our website and refresh, you can see that because we've used the persistent volume to store the data, that all of this is saved and we have our database up and running using our correct information. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you click up over there somewhere, you'll get a subscribe button. That would really help my channel out a lot. If you leave a comment down below if this video has been useful or if you've got any questions. And check out my next video, which will hopefully be out in a week's time. And that we will be going through Docker Compose. So hopefully you'll look forward to watching that video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.